Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 339 of the podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking about the current state of the Buffalo Bills at their bye week. A lot of things have played out as expected so far this NFL season. In the AFC, the Chiefs are dominant and have the best record. What is surprising is what team has the second best record in the conference. The Buffalo Bills, led by Josh Allen, at their bye week, week 12, have a 9-2 record and are coming off a huge victory against the Chiefs. Coming into this season, many people were down on the Buffalo Bills, calling them old and that their run was over, in large part due to the departure of all-world wide receiver Stefon Diggs, that they would go from the top of the AFC East to possibly being a third-place team behind the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. And I never believed that that was going to be the case because windows do not close on teams that have elite quarterbacks in their prime, and that's what I thought the Bills had with Josh Allen. And Allen is proving me right in every way. Here's what I'll say about the team losing Stefon Diggs. Sometimes it's not the worst thing for a team to lose their number one target receiver. Patrick Mahomes thrived after Tyreek Hill was traded away, and Tom Brady went back to winning Super Bowls after the departure of Randy Moss. I love star receivers, but sometimes their presence can be a distraction. For instance, I don't think it's a good thing that Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase openly tells the media he's open on every play, and Diggs was clearly a distraction his last few years in Buffalo. Let's talk about Josh Allen's stats so far. He's got 18 passing touchdowns, 6th in the league with 2,557 passing yards, 8th in the league. And maybe the most important stat, Allen is having fewer turnovers. Last season, he was 2nd in the league with 18 interceptions. And if I'm being honest, I never cared about him throwing picks, but I do see it as a sign of improvement that he can keep his big playmaking abilities without throwing as many picks. And I would also like to say that some of his past turnovers were probably due to the fact that he was forcing the ball to Stefon Diggs. For years, I've heard one of the big problems the Bills had was Josh Allen turnovers, which again, I never believed was that big of a problem, but right now they seem to be a thing of the past as he only has 5 picks so far this season. As someone who watches the ESPN show Get Up, I would hear Mike Greenberg and all the NFL analysts talk about the fact that Josh Allen was trying to be too much of a hero throughout the years, that he was forcing the ball and turning the ball over, trying to win games. Well, if that's the weakness you thought Josh Allen had, and now that weakness is gone, there's no reason why you should not be talking about him as not only an MVP candidate, but as someone who could lead his team to a Super Bowl victory. Yes, it's obvious to say that if Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl, he would get the majority of the credit, but I think it's even bigger if he wins a Super Bowl the first year that Stefon Diggs is no longer on the team. I mean, that would say everything about his development as a quarterback, because there have been some people out there who have said that Josh Allen is not that good and he's only been good because he had a wide receiver as talented as Stefon Diggs, and this year he is proving that is not the case, that he has evolved into a guy who does not need one of those number one wide receivers. My take on those kind of number one wide receivers now is that I only think they work in short periods of time. Like, those kind of guys just do not last on teams forever. That's why the Stefon Diggs run only lasted 4 years in Buffalo. At first, they seem brilliant, like T.O. joins the Eagles and then they make the Super Bowl, and then he immediately becomes a giant distraction to the organization and they need to move on from him. I also think those kind of wide receivers work better with younger quarterbacks, and the veterans don't need them. Like, I think the Patriots should add a number one type wide receiver to go along with Drake May because that team is desperate for talent, but Josh Allen no longer needs the blanket of Stefon Diggs. He can win football games and is winning football games on his own. If you look at the overall landscape of the AFC, I would say that this season could end up being the Bills' best opportunity to make the Super Bowl, because other than the Chiefs, I look at the AFC as a bunch of disappointments. You have the Cincinnati Bengals, who many believe was going to be a Super Bowl contending team, and they have not been, despite having Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They are not a good defensive team, and I don't care what you want to tell me, that team is not going to turn themselves around. And I feel the exact same way about the Miami Dolphins. They are a lost cause. They are not going to make the playoffs. They are not going to make any noise. Even if one of those two teams sneaks into the playoffs, they are not real Super Bowl contenders. And let's be honest, who are you going to pick to win a playoff game between Josh Allen and Russell Wilson? I would put my entire stock on Josh Allen beating Russell Wilson, because the Buffalo Bills are going to have the second best quarterback come playoff time. Yes, you're not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes, but that's the only guy who could automatically beat Josh Allen in the playoffs. At this moment in time, and there's still a long way to go, I think we are destined for an AFC championship between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, and I think that's exactly what the NFL needs, because when these teams play, it is some of the best games. They're always close, and these are two of the best quarterbacks of their generation. You have Patrick Mahomes, the guy who has already won the Super Bowls and the MVPs, against the guy in Josh Allen who is trying to prove himself. I'm not trying to overshadow Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I just kind of feel like that team is on shaky grounds right now. I know Dan Orlovsky was on ESPN and they had that debate about whether or not the Ravens are an underachieving team. I agree with him. The Ravens are a good football team, but am I banking on Lamar Jackson leading the Ravens to the AFC Championship game? No way. Harbaugh loses big football games from time to time. I believe in the Buffalo Bills more than I believe in the Baltimore Ravens. Another great AFC title game matchup would be between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I mean, are we kind of as a society tired of seeing the Kansas City Chiefs automatically make the AFC title game? Absolutely. But I think the Chiefs are going to make the title game. It's inevitable. You can't bet against them. I mean, even when they don't look good, they end up winning football games. They're in that part of the dynasty where they can win in ugly ways by blocking kicks at the end of games. They are going to end up winning football games, and they are likely going to make another appearance in the AFC title game, if not the Super Bowl itself. That's what kind of pains me in this whole situation about Josh Allen. I think he's playing the best football of his career. It's all coming together, yet it's hard to feel great about his chances to make the Super Bowl because the Kansas City Chiefs are right there. I mean, Mahomes is a 3-time Super Bowl winner. In a big game, he's going to make that great play. He's not having the best season of his career. I would argue Lamar Jackson is having a better season, Joe Burrow is having a better season, and Josh Allen are all having better individual seasons than Patrick Mahomes. Yet you're going to pick Mahomes in any big game because he's Patrick Mahomes. It's the way you used to feel about Tom Brady. You don't care what kind of regular season he had. If you play that guy in the playoffs, you think that guy is going to come home the victor. And that's how I feel, and us all feel about Mahomes. It has that same feeling of the 90s in the NBA. Michael Jordan was the king. He won 6 NBA finals. And because of that, guys like Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley get overlooked because they weren't winning at that rate. It's like I feel so good about Josh Allen as a player that I do think eventually he's going to win a Super Bowl title. But it's tough to pick him in these years where it's the Patrick Mahomes era. You're not going to pick against Patrick Mahomes, even in seasons where Travis Kelce isn't the same guy. And yes, you can feel good about the Bills beating the Chiefs during the regular season, but that does not mean they are going to beat them come playoff time. Right now in the MVP chase, I would say the front runners are Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen just had the game-winning play against the Kansas City Chiefs, handing them their first loss of the season, and Lamar Jackson is already a 2-time MVP award winner and is probably on his way to winning a 3rd award. I think Josh Allen will win the award forward if the Buffalo Bills end up having the best record in the AFC. Because then I think you go, Josh Allen is the reason the Buffalo Bills have the best record in the AFC. Because in past years, I feel like Josh Allen has gotten overlooked because they go, the Bills have a stacked roster. He has Stephon Diggs. Lamar Jackson is doing everything for the Ravens. Now you can't say that. Josh Allen is doing everything for the Buffalo Bills, and Lamar Jackson has an MVP caliber teammate in running back Derrick Henry. I would also argue coming into the season, the expectations were way larger for the Baltimore Ravens than they were for the Buffalo Bills. There were people out here saying that the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins were going to be a lot better than the Buffalo Bills and that the Bills could possibly miss out on the playoffs. And now the Bills have a 9-2 record. Josh Allen is just one of those guys you need to give an MVP award. Like, he cannot go his entire career without taking home that trophy. He is so valuable to the Buffalo Bills. He is the reason that team remained relevant all offseason long. Oh, the Bills are getting old. They're losing key defensive players like Poyer. They've lost Stephon Diggs. Well, guess what? They have recovered from all of those losses because they got the right quarterback at the helm in Josh Allen. He is at the peak of his powers. He may not end up having the best individual statistical season of his career, but if the Buffalo Bills end up with the best record in the AFC, he is going to be the reason why. Yes, I do believe Josh Allen deserves credit for proving so many people wrong. I mean, people like Mike Greenberg believe that Aaron Rodgers was just going to walk in with the New York Jets and completely take over the division, and that has not been the case because Josh Allen has remained Josh Allen. And yes, you can look on the Buffalo Bills roster and on paper say they're not the best team in the AFC, but they might end up with the best record because their quarterback is Josh Allen. As a Patriots fan, it is wild that the Bills have completely taken over the AFC East division, winning a division title 4 years in a row with a 5th one on the way. And what the Bills have as their biggest advantage is consistency, not only at quarterback with Allen, but also at head coach, Sean McDermott. Now, they are not Bill Belichick or Tom Brady, but they are better at their positions than anyone else in the division. Mike McDaniels and Tua Tagovailoa are not as good as them. Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh were not as good as them. I don't think Drake May and Gerard Mayo are going to emerge as better than them. I don't believe this Buffalo Bills run of owning this division is nearing its end. I think it's going to continue because Josh Allen is improving his play. He is getting better at the quarterback position. Maybe they are going to bring in another top-tier wide receiver at some point. Maybe they are going to give him more weapons. But the scary thing is, he doesn't even need the weapons to have a 9-2 record and beat the Kansas City Chiefs in a pivotal regular season game. It's been my opinion for a really long time now that the second best quarterback in the entire NFL is Josh Allen. Now I go Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Those are the top 4 guys, and I think Josh Allen gets overlooked on that list for whatever reason. Yes, Lamar Jackson has won the MVPs, but I believe Allen is the better football player. One take I have about people overlooking the Buffalo Bills from the get-go is that we're not inconsistent with our thoughts about quarterbacks. On one hand, we believe that Aaron Rodgers was the answer for the New York Jets, that he was going to go to the Jets and instantly make them a contending football team. But what we didn't think was going to happen, that Josh Allen would keep the Buffalo Bills a consistent winning football team. I mean, nothing changed with the Buffalo Bills. They had the guy and they kept the guy. But for whatever reason, so many people were down on the Buffalo Bills, and those people look foolish. I mean, I just looked at it on paper and said to myself, I don't think that this 28-year-old quarterback is all of a sudden going to be leading a third-place team. He's too good at the position. He's at the prime of his career. Why would Aaron Rodgers, who's a decade older than him, stroll in and take this division over? I never thought that was going to happen. Now, did I believe that Aaron Rodgers would have success with the Jets? Absolutely. I just never believed it was going to be ahead of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I was never down on the Bills because the Bills had Josh Allen in the prime of his career, improving at the position. When I truly believe in a quarterback, I don't care who they're throwing the ball to. I believe the best quarterbacks to elevate the play of the receivers around them. And you're seeing it this season with Allen. His main weapon this year has been running back James Cook. And for the stretch run, he's about to get back rookie wide receiver Keon Coleman and tight end Dalton Kincaid to go along with Amari Cooper, who they acquired via trade. Instead of one player having great success, multiple players are making plays this year for the Buffalo Bills. And I think that will help them win football games during the postseason. Look, I know on this podcast I've been talking about the fact that I always believed that Josh Allen was going to thrive without Stephon Diggs, but I do somewhat understand that thought process because you had never seen him have success in the NFL without Diggs. I mean, Josh Allen really struggled in his early years in the NFL without that number one wide receiver. But unless Josh Allen was going to revert back to the old Josh Allen, I just don't see believing that he was going to not have the Buffalo Bills in a winnable situation. Like, that's how much I believed in him as a player. And I think teams in the NFL win football games because of their quarterbacks. I believe the Chiefs have won these Super Bowls because of Patrick Mahomes. That the Bengals made a Super Bowl because of Joe Burrow. That the Baltimore Ravens make the playoffs every year because of Lamar Jackson. And I feel the exact same way about Josh Allen. So unless I believe that Josh Allen was going to revert to the old Josh Allen, I was always going to believe in the Buffalo Bills. And at no point did I believe Josh Allen was going to turn back into the regular Josh Allen. He is a Pro Bowl level quarterback. I believe he's going to be viewed as a Hall of Fame quarterback at some point. And yes, since my team has absolutely no chance of winning a Super Bowl, the team I want to win is the Buffalo Bills because I want Josh Allen to be crowned as one of the best QBs in the league. I want him to cement his legacy. I think it's the most interesting story in the NFL right now, other than the Detroit Lions. I mean, that would be an amazing story if Jared Goff wins a Super Bowl with the Lions. But other than that, I would like to see Josh Allen get a Super Bowl. I don't want the Chiefs to be the dynasty that just keeps on winning. I want to see these other great quarterbacks win. Now, the challenge is the Chiefs are in their way, and there's no guarantee that the Bills can overcome that fact. But I'm rooting for them. I would love to see Josh Allen get a Super Bowl title and be anointed as one of the greats. Because we all know it won't happen otherwise. I mean, you can't be a guy who just puts up great stats and be viewed as an all-time great quarterback. I mean, Phillip Rivers put up the stats, but Drew Brees is ahead of Phillip Rivers because Drew Brees won a Super Bowl. Even Eli Manning is about to make the Hall of Fame because he won Super Bowl titles. He's viewed as a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. If Josh Allen wants to be remembered as an all-time great, he's got to get over the hump and get that Super Bowl. And I think eventually it's going to happen, and I would love for it to happen this season because I think the NFL needs a surprise Super Bowl victor. Yes, watching the Chiefs win every year is fine. We like dynasties. We like rooting against the team. But what's even more special is when a team comes out of nowhere, a team that many lost belief in the Buffalo Bills. I would love to see it happen. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. I do believe that the Bills are going to make the AFC title game and go against the Kansas City Chiefs, and I desperately want to see that because I want to see Mahomes versus Allen. They create great games against one another. They up their games because both of these guys want to be viewed as the best at their position. And to me, it's no fluke that Josh Allen has become the ultimate rival to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he has the great games against him. They are so close to beating him time and time again. It would be great to see Josh Allen get over his rival. The same way it was great to see Michael Jordan get over the Detroit Pistons. I mean, that's always great to see a great team lose to an up-and-coming team. And it still feels like the Bills are an up-and-coming team because they won't leave the picture. They're going to be a contending contending team as long as Josh Allen is their quarterback. That's why I wanted to do this podcast, to talk about the Buffalo Bills and to talk about how people were wrong about the Buffalo Bills because they overlooked the fact that they had a 28-year-old quarterback in his prime playing the best football of his career, and that is something you should not do. You should always believe in the quarterback. I mean, you were putting all of your belief in Aaron Rodgers, yet you failed to do so with Josh Allen. What winning a Super Bowl for Allen would mean is he would elevate himself ahead of guys like Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and put him right behind Patrick Mahomes as the best quarterbacks to be playing right now. I mean, that's what we're talking about. That's what's at stake, and that's why I'm still really interested to see how this season is going to end for the Buffalo Bills. I don't think they're going to have an early exit. I think they're going to make the AFC title game. The question is, can they beat the Kansas City Chiefs in said title game? We shall see. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.